What is up? Welcome into Driving the Line, not on demand, live breaking down the College World Series, how to bet it, Super Regionals edition. My name is Alan Bell. We've got a great show lined up for you today. And I'll tell you what, you see a poll in the chat here talking about which team is going to pull the upset in Super Regionals. So go ahead and vote now. Is anybody who has been here before and anybody who's brand new, this is the most interactive show that we have. You are just as much a part of it as I am. So drop questions in the chat that you have, drop thoughts, picks, anything, everything that you have in regards to this. We're going to go through every single super regional. All right. All 8 of them. We're going to break down how to bet them. So far, we don't have game lines yet, but we're going to break down right now how to bet them in terms of who's going to win, how to bet those, and then a new betting style that we have for this round, series overs and unders. So let me explain how super regionals work if anyone is brand new to it. So essentially you have 8 super regionals, all right, that are 2 teams apiece. Okay, and we'll go through each one here in just a second. But it's essentially a best of 3 series this weekend. First team that wins 2 games wins it and goes to the College World Series, where there will be 8 teams, and it's double elimination in that in the College World Series. But this one, first one to win 2 games. They all start Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if necessary. So we'll jump right into it here, and I'll bring up the first one that you can see. All right, so we've got Tennessee, the number 1 overall seed, taking on Evansville. All right, this will be played in Knoxville. Starts on Friday. And let me pull up the odds here so that you can see, and we'll bring these up as well so that everybody can understand exactly how the books see, right, the series going. You can see Tennessee minus 1,400 to win this one. Yeah, minus 1,400. So, pretty much takes that one out of it. From the Wednesday morning DTL show, we paired Tennessee and NC State in a parlay, came out at plus 135. But yeah, I mean, it's Evansville, right? Now, the interesting part, take a look here at the teams that were in said regional. East Carolina was the host. They get eliminated. Wake Forest, eliminated. VCU, eliminated. Evansville is the team that makes it through. So I'm going to be honest. Look, I mean, everybody knows I'm here in Tennessee. I think Tennessee wins this one, right? I also think Tennessee wins in 2 games, but under 2.5, minus 300. What are you going to do? Like, it's just almost unbettable. Now, we will take a look game by game. You know, we don't have to just bet these, obviously, in futures, right? So we'll have games, game 1 on Friday, game 2 on Saturday, game 3, if necessary, on Sunday. So it doesn't mean we can't bet them. That being said, Tennessee and the money line going to be pretty high. Right? It's just going to be that way. So we might not be able to bet this one all that much, but that's kind of our first one. There we go. All right, let's move to the second one. If you have any thoughts on this, drop them in the chat. But to be honest with you, I mean, who knows? Now, all right, Kyle, Evansville has to win game 1 with their big lefty. Have any shot? You know what? You're exactly right. And it's funny that you brought that up, Kyle, because I want you to know that is an excellent point. Okay. And 2 years ago, me and Randall Mims, you'll see him in the chat here, we were talking about this last night. All right, 2 years ago, Tennessee entered as the number 1 overall seed, gets through regionals, hosts Super Regional against Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame was not as large of an underdog as Evansville is, not even close, but it's the same deal. Notre Dame had to win game 1 to have a shot. You know what they did? They threw the number 2 on Friday, thinking, all right, if we could get you in game 1, sneak up on you, we're going to have our ace on Saturday in game 2. And you know what? That's exactly what they did. And Notre Dame won that Super Regional. Evansville, Kyle, you're 1,000% correct. They have to do it, right? So I think you're going to see every shot at doing that one. Better days ahead. My man Mark says, would you take the overs unders in this series with Tennessee being so favored? Depends on what the number is. Evansville can hit. Tennessee obviously can hit. It is a very small field. Lindsey Nelson Stadium, very small. It's definitely built for the home run ball. If Drew Beam is throwing Friday for Tennessee, which I don't know if he is or not, the guy's an animal. He is very difficult to hit. Very difficult to hit. But It all depends on the number. 14.5, no, I'm not going to play it. If you get it 11.5, 12.5, yeah, I'd play it for sure. But yeah, we'll see. So it was tough. Like, we're just going to have to kind of wait until the game lines get here, which should be Thursday. They should come out tomorrow. I hate saying tomorrow. It should be Thursday because you might be watching this on Thursday, right? So yeah. Yeah, dude. He's a beast, dude. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Like, Tennessee's got good. Like, that's what makes it difficult, man, of playing overs and unders, because there are studs that can just they can cause you trouble. Eric says, "Yep, Beam though Saturday. Tony Vitello doesn't change up pitching." Yeah, you know what? You're right. Like, and I think that I think for Tennessee, keeping it as non-emotional and like changing as possible is the key. Eric, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that Tennessee's going to go into this really expecting to win, and just playing their game. So yep, definitely agree on that. Now, the tough part is that could mean unders on Friday and Saturday. It's going to be tough. We'll have to see what the numbers are, because if it's 14.5, 15, I mean, you're going to need Tennessee to cover a lot of that, right? So, all right, let's go to the next one here. TJ, what up, bro? Let's see. Okay. So we have the Tallahassee Super Regional. We have Yukon against Florida State, right? Yukon gets the upset. And look, Oklahoma, the host, out. Duke, out. Oral Roberts, out. 3 good teams. Yukon handled its business. You've got to give them credit. They can score. Florida State. We all thought kind of exactly what would happen. All right, Florida State has been consistent all year long. We bet on them all year long, and they've held up. This team can score a ton of runs. They can pitch all right, but they could just beat you at the plate, man. They could just really can. So Alabama out, UCF out, Stetson out. We've already bet on Florida State to win this Super Regional. I'm going to drink. I'll say this, and I've got best bets at the end of the show, so don't fret on that, but I wanted to see what you guys thought. Yeah, I mean, we've already bet Florida State to win this Super Regional. Moshe's my stupid meeting. Needs to answer. I can fully pay attention. My boss never joins it. Well, man, that's hilarious, man. Yeah, look, I think that Florida State is going to advance to the College World Series. I think that they win this at home. I don't hate this one going 3 games. Let me pull up the odds here so that everybody can see. All right, so Florida State to win the Super Regional -330, Yukon +255. Total series games. And look, these are found at DraftKings. Now, other books will have them. They might not have them yet. DraftKings has them right now. So anybody that has DraftKings, you can bet them. They're live, already have. All right, so look at this. Over 2.5 games +115. Under 2.5 games -145. DG says, why don't you have a drink helmet on so you're built for speed? And that's a good point. There's actually a racing helmet right over here. I might put that on. Yeah. All right. Elliot says, I like the over 2.5 at that price. I do too. Like, I don't hate it. Now, look, I think that there's a good chance that Florida State sweeps this. I'm not saying it happens. I'm just saying there's a good chance of it happening. You can see it with the price of the juice from the books. That being said, though, I don't hate taking a shot here at over 2.5. And let me tell you why. When you do that and you place these bets of over under 2.5, it gives you a natural hedge opportunity in game 2. So what do I mean by that? Let's say we bet over 2.5. Okay. So if we're betting over 2.5 and we got it at +115, let's say Florida State wins game 1. Well, game 2, if you want to hedge yourself there, right, you bet on Florida State to win that game. Because if they don't, you're going to hit the +115. If they do, I mean, they cancel themselves out. You actually lose a little bit of juice depending on what the money line is going to be, and you're going to probably have to parlay it. So it's not a perfect natural hedge, but you have opportunities there, right? That's really the point that I wanted to get across, is that these things give you chances to hedge yourself or double up, as we did in regionals with teams like Clemson, teams like Florida State, when they were up 2-0 on Sunday, and we already had them as the winner of that regional, and then we bet on Florida State, Clemson to win that game. They win it, and we double up. So, yeah, there are opportunities there. It's not always going to work perfectly like that because you're going to have prices that are out of control, especially if Florida State wins game one. But, yeah, absolutely. And, Elliot, that's the other point, too, is that you can hedge and win both. 100%, man. 100%. Let's see. Schwan says, my state, DK doesn't have the over, at least not yet. They'll have it. It'll come. It might not be there yet, but it'll be there for sure. Take best way would be to take Yukon run line game 2. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right. So, yeah, 100%. So, yeah, there's going to be all kinds of opportunities here. So that's the best. That's the biggest point is that understand and think about that. Like, I'll give you my picks at the end here in just a minute. This show won't be too terribly long. We don't have 64 teams that we need to break down, but keep that in mind, right? Like when you're making your own picks or you're looking through or the picks that we make together and then the series starts, especially if you get an upset on Friday or not. You know what I mean? So there you go. Our man Raphael says warm, humid weather all weekend long for all ballparks. Fantastic to hear on that one. We want runs. We want it to be exciting. It's K-State fan bet overs, Kansas State, Virginia. Yep, I agree on that one, buddy. I agree on that one. 100%. Kansas State will score. Like, Kansas State's a good baseball team, man. They've done it all year long. So, yeah, I agree on that one. Okay, so that's the Tallahassee region. Let's move over to the next one. And just what Elliot said, Virginia, Kansas State. All right, Kansas State goes through the Arkansas, the Fayetteville Regional. Arkansas, out. Louisiana Tech, out. SEMO, Southeast Missouri, out. Kansas State gets through. Virginia wins its regional in Charlottesville, undefeated, right? They do Mississippi State, Penn, St. John's. Okay. Now, here's the deal. Let me pull up the odds on this one. Now we start to get a little bit tighter. All right. So for Virginia to win the Super Regional, minus 230. Kansas State, plus 185. Here's where we get. Take a look at the total games. Over 2.5 games, minus 105. Under 2.5 games, minus 125. Pretty close, right? Again, the books are favoring a sweep, but that's pretty tight, especially college baseball. Anybody that's bet college baseball year long, things are never that low whatsoever, right? So, goes to show you, man. This one, like, I could see this one going 3 games. I could see betting over 2.5 right now at minus 105. I think, and Raphael's a better person to ask than me in regards to where books and line movements and all that stuff is going to go. But I could see this coming back to about a split. Maybe it like under 2.5 will probably still be favored by the time we get to Friday. But I mean, I could see it almost being minus 120, minus 110, or minus 115 even straight up, right? Could see that. I don't think this is a bad play over 2.5 at all. Like we said, Kansas State can hit. And don't get me wrong, Virginia, solid. But they don't necessarily score a ton of runs consistently. They can, and especially against bad bullpens. But they don't do it all the time, right? They just don't do it all the time. And if you hit them with a ton of runs, especially early, it could be trouble. Elliot says, Cats, bats are hot. You've been, yeah, like that's the thing is it's like Virginia is consistent. They're not Georgia or Florida State, but they're consistent. They're going to put 6 to 8 runs up every game. And I know that doesn't sound like a ton, but it is. You put up 7 runs, 8 runs a game. Like, I don't care who you are. It's tough to beat that in a weekend. And that's what Virginia is going to do. Virginia doesn't beat itself. They're very well coached. This is a blue blood institution program of college baseball. They've been good forever. They've been well coached forever. They just don't beat themselves. You're going to have to do it. All right? Yeah. Kansas State, 1 solid pitcher, 1 to 2 relief pitchers. That's the concern, is that if you're Kansas State, you're going to have to win game 1. You're going to have to do it. You have to get up. Because if you let Virginia get up the first game, buddy, they could get out of hand in the second one. What is FedEx change for two companies to one? And let me tell you, my job sucks now. Hard to even listen to shows. I'm so busy, can't interact. Let's crew. TJ, well, we love you. And just let me know who we need to call. I'll call him live. Call him on air. I don't know how much power I'm going to have. Actually, FedEx, they're based in Memphis. DG is your guy on this one. He can swing right over, man. But yeah, like I think over 2.5 games is a solid play in this one. And again, remember, betting over 2.5 games or under, whichever way that you go in any of these, it gives you an out. It gives you options as we get through. So I'm not saying bet every one of them. I'm certainly not saying that, but there's a chance to protect yourself a little bit, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. It's not a bad play to bet these total games bets, like the quantity of bets, like more here than pairing and parlaying super regional winners. I like this approach more. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's go to the next one here. And this is the last super regional on the left side of the bracket, the full bracket, if you guys have those. So we've got West Virginia and North Carolina. West Virginia, the winner of the Tucson bracket. And how wild was that one, right? Sorry. So we said it before that anybody could win this regional, anyone. And West Virginia ends up doing it. Grand Canyon, they had a shot to do it. Dallas Baptist, Arizona, quite frankly, was the one who couldn't get through. So we got West Virginia and we got North Carolina. North Carolina survives against LSU. All right. Took it down to the proverbial game 7 there. Wofford eliminated and LIU eliminated. North Carolina, it was a huge win. Huge series win, taking down LSU and advancing here. Now, RJ Rose says, can somebody find where to place these bets? Yeah, hang tight. I'll tell you what, everybody, hang tight. Let me see if we can walk through it together because I want everybody to be able to find it. Now, again, I don't know if everyone's books will have them just yet based on state, but let me see. Let me just see if I can pull this up. Okay, can everybody see that? There we go. All right. Okay, might be a little tight. You might have to scroll in, but on the left here, you click college baseball. Okay, so it brings up super regionals, team futures. You'll see super regional win, and this is the odds of winning the super regional. You'll see super regional series games right here. Click that, and that's where you have that right there. So I hope that made sense. Again, your state might be different in regards to having it if it hasn't up just yet, but that's how and where you find it. Okay, so look, North Carolina, I think that win over LSU was a big wake-up call. Let me pull up the odds here. North Carolina minus 260 to win the Super Regional. West Virginia plus 195. Over 2.5 games minus 110. Under 2.5 games minus 120. Look at that. West Virginia can do it with runs. They're not necessarily the best pitching team in the country. They're not necessarily the best fielding team in the country. They're not bad. I'm not saying that they're bad at all. I'm just saying that West Virginia can just onslaught you with runs. They can do it to anybody. They've done it all year. Anybody have any thoughts here? What do you think? Elliot, yeah, we did, dude. Grand Canyon. Dude, yes. Like Grand Canyon's a good baseball team, dude. Very good baseball team. Yeah, like West Virginia, like I really don't hate playing over 2.5 games in this one. And also understand this, that if you played, let's say you played all 8 super regionals, you didn't make a single bet, but just over under 2.5 games. You know what's nice about that? As I take a drink, you don't have to pick the winner. No, like that's also the thing. West Virginia could win. North Carolina could win. You don't even have to mess with who wins the series, right? So you could place those. You could not play a single game. You could not play a single super regional winner. You can just play these, and there you go. And then get yourself to whoever wins on Friday. You give yourself the opportunity to hedge or double up on Saturday. So again, it's another strategy. Now, another thing, when the College World Series gets here, we'll have team totals as well. So there are other strategies of using team totals as overs that I'll show you when we get there. But again, these total game bets are valuable, dude. Valuable. Like if you don't want to bet or pick a team like on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday to win the series, yeah, like you've got an opportunity here. Like identify the ones that you think go over, ones you think go under. It gives you options once you get to Saturday. You know what I mean? So that is something to pay attention to there. All right, let's move to the other side of the bracket. So we have the Lexington Super Regional. Kentucky, the host, gets Oregon State. So Kentucky gets through, unblemished, look good. Take out Indiana State, take out Illinois, take out Western Michigan. Those are three teams that can hit. Kentucky can hit, and Kentucky has excellent, excellent pitching. Going up against Oregon State here, who hosted their regional, took out UC Irvine, a good baseball team. Nichols, a high-scoring baseball team. And Tulane, pretty good baseball team, put up some runs. Oregon State, look, let me pull up the odds here. Lexington, all right, Kentucky, minus 140 to win the Super Regional. So now we're getting to an area. Jay Lance, what up, bro? Hey, you're all right, man. Just good to have you, buddy. Kentucky minus 140. So now we're getting to a place where you don't have to parlay this if you want to pick Kentucky to win. Oregon State plus 110 to win the Super Regional. Over 2.5 games, minus 125. Under 2.5 games, minus 105. So the books think that there will not be a sweep in this one. But again, the numbers, I mean, that's basically even in college baseball. They're basically even, right? I think that this is a great series that to play over 2.5. Oregon State can win this. Not saying they can't. Kentucky should win it. But Kentucky can mess around. And Oregon State doesn't necessarily have the best historical luck or history in super regionals, but that doesn't matter, right? Like this year's completely different than any of those other teams. I like the over 2.5 in this one. I really, really do. Yeah. Okay. Kyle says this. Yep. Look, Oregon State away from Corvallis. I don't see moving on, but definitely think it goes through. But I completely agree. Like, I completely agree. Like, Kentucky's a better team. Kentucky definitely has much better pitching. But if you're betting just series total games at minus 125, I dig it. Schwan says, do you think it makes a difference with teams that played 3 games versus teams that played 4 games this past week? Not really. No, because a lot of these teams played 3 games. Okay. And you've got a week of rest. Unless there was severe bullpen usage. No, not really. Like, I don't think that there is. Now, the concern and something to note as well. College baseball, we've talked about this all year long. Remember this. It is a ping pong sport. We've said it all year long, and it's proved true all year long. Okay? You could look great in regionals and be awful in super regionals. I'll give you a perfect example. There was no team in the country that looked better during conference tournament play than Duke. No one. They won the tournament. They beat the hell out of Florida State. They beat the hell out of everyone. I think that they scored double-digit runs in every game. They got to the Norman Regional, couldn't hit. Legitimately couldn't hit. Gone. Out. Done. Could not hit. So always remember, it is a ping-pong sport. What happened last week does not always matter what happens the next. All right? Just remember that one. And number 2, playing at home matters. Look through the year. If you go to d1baseball.com, which, again, plug to them. We've used them all year long. Great people at d1baseball.com. Support them. Check out their website. Check out their info. They're fantastic. Couldn't say enough great things about them. Take a look at these teams' records at home. They're phenomenal. Like, it matters playing at home. Matters in those tight games. Yeah. So back to it in this over 2.5 games. Like, I'm in. I'm in on that. If anybody has any other thoughts, break them down. And look, and Schwan, that was a great question. Like, absolutely a great question. Some teams it would have mattered. LSU, I think it would have mattered if they got through. Like, they had to use a lot of arms. But there's not really any other teams that had to go just unbelievably crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah, Kyle says ping pong. Well, I don't have much belief. Yeah, like, that's the thing, man, is it's like, dude, it's real. Like, we saw it all year long, man. Like, it's just 1 week to the next just has no bearing, man. You just don't know. Like, you've got to protect yourself. And that's why I love these series total games bets, is because it gives you that opportunity. All right, let's jump to the next one here. Ooh, NC State against Georgia. Georgia hosting the Super Regional in Athens. NC State went undefeated. Georgia did not. Georgia almost didn't get through, but they got the job done, and now they're hosting. So let's pull up these odds here. Georgia to win the Super Regional, -150. NC State +120. Over 2.5 games, -115. Under 2.5 games, -115. The books are putting this right down the middle and saying, you make the call and we'll follow you. Anybody who watched the Wednesday morning show, Driving the Line, we had NC State to win this regional, +120. We actually paired it with Tennessee. It moved it from +120 to +135. Thanks for that. But NC State is good, dude. Nobody's talking about them, but they handled business, and they have all year long. Georgia, we bet on Georgia a lot. They can hit with anybody. Charlie Condon, best hitter in the country, home run king. He's a beast, and they've got more than just him. Like, Georgia 1 through 9 can mash. But I like NC State here. I took them. I'm not saying you have to, but here's the deal. Over 2.5 games, yeah, I'm feeling this one. Jay Land says, I have been randomly putting money on Georgia to win the World Series since early. Dude, they're good. Like, that's the thing. Kyle says, here's a dog that's barking. Yeah, it's barking for sure, dude. It definitely is. Look, man, like, whoever wins this Super Regional would not surprise me. Both of them are College World Series teams. I think NC State's a better overall team. It doesn't matter, right? Georgia gets hot, which we've seen them do, and we've bet on it throughout the year. Like, I don't care how good you are. Like, you going to score 14 runs? Like, that's what Georgia will make you do. And they're playing at home. But Georgia, their issue has been that they'll give up runs to. And we saw it in the regionals. And again, ping pong does not mean that last weekend applies to this weekend. But it's been that way all year long, that Georgia will score, but they'll give up runs too. NC State, they're not that way. They don't give up a ton of runs. NC State's a very well-coached baseball team. I like NC State, and I like over 2.5. If you want to roll just over 2.5, do it. -115, even, price there, back and forth. I like it. And gives you an opportunity to hedge on Saturday as well, depending on who wins Friday, right? So, yep. Hey, man, Raphael, you have a great weekend, or a great afternoon, my man. Yeah, their pitching is, it's trouble. So yeah, I like both NC State and the over 2.5, but if you want to go with the over 2.5, I think it's a great play. I think it's an absolute great play. Something to put down now, because this price will move. I think this is the toughest Super Regional in terms of betting, of how even the teams are. So I think it's one of those to where if you've got a little coin in your pocket, yeah, like that's that's a good bet to put down, right? Because you're locked into that bet, but you have options. So I think that's probably your best one so far. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Clemson and Florida. What about Florida? Did we not say it? Florida, look the hell out. They're dangerous. Their problem was not talent. Not talent. Florida's good. They've got major league players all over that roster. Their first four hitters can go with anybody in the country. Anyone. They'll be playing in the pros. Shellnut, all right, Caglione, keep going. They have studs. Going up against Clemson. So let's pull up the prices here. Clemson minus 165 to win the series. Look at the respect that the books are giving Florida. Florida plus 135. All right, series total games over 2.5 minus 120, under 2.5 minus 110. Basically even. I think this is another one that is good at over 2.5. But here's the deal, though. Let me preface, though, with this. Florida has to win game one. They have to win it. I think if Clemson wins game one, I think it's curtains for Florida. If Florida wins game one, I think Clemson wins game two at home. And then we have an unbelievable game three. But I think that Florida has to win game one. So anybody who's better at math than I am with all these options, you tell me, like, the best way to go about it, right? But I think that if there's any single, like, pretty close, I'm not talking about a Tennessee Evansville. And again, I'm not saying anything negative about Evansville, but like, if there's any series where the underdog needs to win game one, I think it's this one. I think that it's this one because Clemson is not going to beat themselves. Florida can beat themselves. They've done it a lot. I mean, we bet it. We lost a lot of money on Florida doing it, right? And Clemson can take advantage of that. Like, I'm not saying that Florida couldn't win Saturday and Sunday. I'm not saying that. I mean, I think we were the only, like, group of people, and I mean, all of us together, because we were all saying the same thing. We're like, dude, Florida is a danger in the regionals. It's risky. Look the hell out. Like, we were the only people in the country that were saying that, besides people in Gainesville, right? So I'm not saying that Florida can't win on Saturday and Sunday. They could. Florida can play with anybody in the country at any time. Anytime. If they're on their game, they can play with anyone. But that is going to be a tough out, man. Clemson is just really good. They have a phenomenal baseball coach. And not that, Sullivan for Florida isn't, but Clemson is just not going to give it to you. You're going to have to take it. So I dig the over 2.5. I took Clemson to win the Super Regional and paired it. But I think I paired it with Florida State. Yeah, we'll look in a second. But yeah, like that's kind of where I sit. Any thoughts that you guys have, let me know. And yeah, I see in the chat, like, Michael, I don't know if anybody is in Pennsylvania, but if they're watching later, maybe they'll holler at you there. Anybody find these bets anywhere but DK? I haven't either. Take a look at ESPN Bet. I don't know if they have those, but I do know that they had the Super Regional winners up last night. So take a look there. But yeah, like, I like Clemson to win this one. They're just they've been way more consistent. Clemson's been consistent all year. Like, yeah, I mean, baseball season's long. Everybody has, some ups, downs, dips. And Clemson certainly had a little bit of a dip, not much. But all year long, like, they've delivered. Like, they've been Clemson baseball. Florida's been, Disney World roller coaster, dude. Like, you don't know what to bet. They're risky, but they could lose game one and shut it down and be gone, and Clemson gets out of here in 2 games. So that's why in this one I'm going with Clemson to win the Super Regional. I like it more than playing the over 2.5. But again, if you go the over 2.5 or under 2.5, gives you options on Saturday. All right, let's move to the next one here. I believe it's the last one. Yeah. So Texas A&M, Super Regional, Bryan College Station. A&M hosting Oregon. That was another tough regional right there. The Santa Barbara UCSB, Gaucho's out, San Diego out, Fresno State out, Oregon advances. You look, Texas A&M handled their business. Texas gone, Grambling gone, Louisiana gone. Louisiana's a good baseball team. Texas, they played good at the end, but they Texas was like Florida this year. Like they were very inconsistent. Grambling, I mean, good to get there, but they weren't going to win it. All right, let's take a look at the prices here. Look at that. A&M minus 425 to win the Super Regional. Oregon plus 300. Over 2.5 games plus 120. Under 2.5 games minus 150. I already took Texas A&M to win the Super. Well, did we bet it? I'll take a look in a second. I like Texas A&M to win this one. I quite frankly, I think A&M is a great shot at sweeping this. It scares me playing over or under because Oregon's good, but this is going to be brutal. Oregon has been up and down. Texas A&M has not. Texas A&M has just been a juggernaut. And I don't see that stopping, especially at home, especially after getting through the regional, getting through Texas, all of that. Like, you know how it is, those Aggies fans. Like, that place will be packed. They'll be loud as hell. They'll be causing problems, right? Like, this one could be tough. I don't hate over or under on this one. I think, again, I'd probably lean under. I think Texas A&M probably sweeps it. But, yeah, minus 425, impossible to bet unless you parlay it with something. But, yeah, it's just going to be tough. So, all right, here are the picks we have. Texas A&M, Virginia, Super Regional winners, minus 110, parlayed together. Florida State, Clemson, Super Regional winners, plus 110, parlayed together. NC State, Tennessee, Super Regional winners, plus 135, parlayed together. Super Regional total games, NC State, Georgia, over 2.5 games, minus 115. Kentucky, Oregon State, Super Regional, over 2.5 games, minus 125. That's where we sit with picks so far. Let me open it up. Any questions? Any thoughts? DG says, are the UT Martin Skyhawks in the tourney at the local Casey's? Oh, dude, Casey's, the gas station. They got good sandwiches there, man. I like Casey's. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we sit. Now, again, no, I didn't mean to put that twice. My bad. It's Wednesday while we're filming this. So we're going to have more bets coming for sure. I don't know if anything new drops on Thursday, but Friday, like Thursday night, we'll get game lines. And then Friday, we'll get going. They should all start about 6 p.m. And I think, I'll tell you what, let me hold that thought because, all right, if you had to say right now who wins the College World Series, we're going to hit on that one right now because it leads us to the end. Liddy, what time does Harley go out for a walk? Here in about 15 minutes. And then he'll be back on the couch asleep in 16 minutes. All right. So, okay. We had to say who wins the College World Series right now. Okay. Let's go back through here. So let's walk through who we think is going to get there and win. Who are our 8 teams? So I think Tennessee, Kyle, good look right there. Florida State, Tennessee, Texas A&M. That's solid. That's solid play. Even though, parlaying 3 teams, like normally in our heads, we're like, why the hell are we doing that at plus 140? Got to do it here. You know it. Ball, like college ball, like that. Those are good odds. Yeah. I'm with you on that one, man. Mark says, maybe he's scheduled probably 2 a.m. Yeah, you're about right. Randall, he goes to the car, sits on his ass. Yeah, that's Harley. And yeah, that's what he does. We love him. All right. So Tennessee, Florida State, Virginia, North Carolina. All right. So let me write these down. Tennessee, FSU, Virginia. And look, this is just me. You guys might have different thoughts. I'm just put them out here. All right. So those are the first four. I don't know why I wrote it like that. All right. Oh, man, Oregon State can win this, but I'll go Kentucky, I guess. God, Oregon State could do it though. This one's tough. I say NC State, but people might say Georgia. I'll just write NC State just because that's me. I think Clemson gets this. Okay. And Texas A&M. Okay. So there's a reason why I'm doing this live. Okay. So we've got those four in here. Tennessee, Florida State, Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky, NC State, Clemson, Texas A&M. Okay. So let me pull this back up. Let me pull the odds. Okay. So let's see. It's brutal to read. Hold on one second. Okay. Does that look better? Okay. All right. So Tennessee 300, A&M 310, Florida State 550, Carolina 650, Virginia 800, Kentucky 800, Clemson 1100, Georgia's 1200, NC State 1800. All right. Let's see. So if I had to pick, I would say, God, in Tennessee at 300. I'm going to explain something in a second. So I think Tennessee plus 300 could do it. A&M plus 310 could do it. FSU plus 550. UNC plus 650. We'll say Virginia, although I don't know. And Clemson, 1100. Like, I think I would trust Clemson more than Virginia. So, okay. So we've got these 6 teams, Tennessee 300. And again, I'm not saying this is everybody's thoughts. I'm just thinking out loud here. So A&M 310, Florida State 550, North Carolina 650, Virginia 800, Clemson 1100. Okay. So the reason that I did that is this, is that your favorite is plus 300. If you wanted to take a few teams here, now you would cut down the amount you would win. But like you could take Texas A&M and Florida State, all right, put the same amount of money on both of them. And if Texas A&M wins, it's plus what? 210 because you're going to lose a unit. If Florida State wins, plus 450 because you're going to lose a unit. But now you have 2 teams. And the higher that you go, the better that you could do it. Like you could take Florida State, Clemson, and Georgia, right? If Florida State wins, knock down 2 units, it's plus 350. Clemson plus 900. Georgia plus 1,000. Like that's how you go about doing it. You could even take Tennessee and Texas A&M, right? Tennessee wins, it's what, plus 200? You lose 1 unit. A&M plus 210. Like there are options. Like that's the best way, I think, unless you just feel really strong, one way or the other. But you can use the book's numbers against them right now. This is the last time you're going to be able to do it, though. Like this is the last chance you're going to be able to do it because these numbers are going to go. Once it's down to 8, Tennessee's going to drop if they get there. A&M's going to drop. Like if you're going to do that plan, you do it now. So yeah, I hope that helps. Like, but I think those are the teams that I think could theoretically actually win. Tennessee, Texas A&M, Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson. There's nothing against Kentucky. It's nothing against Georgia or Oregon State or NC State or anyone else. But I think those are the teams that can theoretically win and get through because it is hard. It's very, very hard. You absolutely need to win game 1 and you need to keep going. It's just hard to do. I've seen it. It's very, very difficult to do. But those are the teams. And if you're looking to give yourself options in betting the futures, that's how you do it. So, all right. think it's about it. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, we'll keep going. Like, this is just the, Super Regional preview show. We'll also do it ahead of the College World Series. And we have guaranteed special guest that I think you're going to enjoy. We talked about it last night. We're going to work this thing out. We'll figure out timing, but we're going to do it. It's going to feel old school. It's going to be a lot of fun breaking down the College World Series. But that's how we get down for the Super Regional. Again, this is taped on Wednesday, live on Wednesday. We'll break it down on Thursday on Driving the Line, Friday, Driving the Line, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, we're going to be doing it all weekend. You know how we get down. But everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And yeah, Liddy, take chalk. Chalk usually wins. They usually win. This is a long tournament. You got to win a lot of games, and it's tough to do it unless you're really, really good. Yeah. It's kind of like college basketball. You have upsets early, but it's always chalk when you get down to the Elite Eight, Final Four, National Championship. It's tough to win those games consecutively over and over and over. Good teams can do it. So, everybody, thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Let's go.